After my divorce from Albert was finalized, I embarked on a new chapter of my life by moving in with my daughter, Diana. About 8 months into this transition, an unexpected event occurred. One day, while enjoying some downtime at home with Diana, I received a phone call from my mother that left me unsettled. She informed me that Albert and his mother had unexpectedly shown up at my parents' house, uninvited. Alarmed and curious, I quickly dressed and hurried over. When I arrived, I was surprised to find Albert and his mother seated on the living room sofa, apparently waiting for me. Confused by their sudden presence, I asked, "Why are you here at my parents' house?" Albert's response took me by surprise as he bluntly said, "I want you to return the money you owe me." Let me introduce myself. My name is Judy, and I'm a 38-year-old office worker. I was married to Albert for 10 years, and we share a daughter, Diana, who's now in 8th grade. Albert and I met on a blind date, where I was immediately drawn to his warm, friendly, and cheerful personality. Our connection grew quickly, evolving from high school sweethearts into life partners. After a year of dating, he proposed, and our wedding was a joyous occasion, celebrated with a close-knit group of my high school friends. We were all deeply intertwined in each other's lives, sharing in major milestones. As time went on, each of my friends found their own partners and got married, forming a tight circle of married couples. I was happy and believed our home would always be a sanctuary of love and support. As we matured, our group transitioned from carefree singles into married adults. When I announced my pregnancy, it seemed like my friends were right behind me, with many also starting their own families. Before long, we had become a circle of mothers, sharing the joys and challenges of parenthood together. It felt like we were navigating the waves of life side by side, and I believed our bond would last a lifetime. I cherished my roles as both a wife and mother, while being equally passionate about my career. After graduating from college, I landed a position in the planning and development department of a large corporation. My days were packed, and the work was demanding but fulfilling. Every day brought new challenges and lessons. One of my friends, a stay-at-home mom, once teased me, saying, "Judy, you're a workaholic, but you somehow manage to maintain a wonderful family life. It's like you're living two lives." She admired my strength, though I often joked that I wished I had the energy of a man half my age. Both Albert and Diana played vital roles in helping me unwind after a long day at the office, bringing balance and joy to my life when I returned home. As I walked through the door, I was greeted by Diana's bright voice, "Oh, Mommy, welcome home." Her youthful enthusiasm and warm hugs melted away the fatigue of the day. Albert had transitioned to part-time work at a local cafe after Diana was born, allowing him to take on the primary responsibilities of picking her up from school and preparing dinner. This arrangement not only supported my career but also ensured that I returned home to a freshly cooked meal, which was a tremendous relief. Albert's thoughtful cooking allowed me to unwind and feel rejuvenated. Evenings at home became a cherished ritual. Diana and I would often take baths together, chatting about our days and sharing little stories. These simple, everyday interactions were a source of immense joy and fulfillment. My life felt like a beautiful balance of professional achievements and home life bliss, all made possible by the unwavering support and kindness of Albert and Diana. Their encouragement not only fueled my energy but deepened my dedication and passion for work. Together, we had crafted a life that was both busy and rewarding, proving that with the right support, it was possible to have it all. As my career progressed and I achieved significant milestones, I was rewarded with a promotion. With this new position came increased responsibilities, leading to more overtime and later arrivals home. By this time, Diana had grown older and better understood the demands of my job, which allowed her to manage more on her own. Meanwhile, Albert also began increasing his hours at the cafe, further immersing himself in the world of coffee. Recently, I've taken to exploring various coffee shops, enjoying the unique coffee beans they offer. Just today, I had brought home some beans along with cakes from a new bakery I had discovered. I suggested we enjoy them together with a cup of coffee, excited to share this with Albert, who had become quite passionate about roasting and experimenting with different types of beans at his job. The coffee he brewed at home had become exceptionally good. Though Albert and Diana were always supportive of my career, I couldn't ignore the subtle changes within our family. Despite their understanding, I began to notice a gradual distancing between us. The first sign something was amiss came when Diana approached me with concern. "What's up? You wanted to talk about something," I asked her the other day. When I went to see a movie with friends, I saw Dad with another woman, Diana revealed, her voice tinged with uncertainty. I froze, completely caught off guard by her words. She continued, they weren't holding hands or anything, but they seemed close. Lately, I've noticed Dad talking on the phone a lot before you get home. Sometimes he's so into it that he doesn't even listen to me. He looks really happy when he's on the phone. At first, I thought he was talking to you, but after seeing him with that woman, I'm starting to wonder if he's been talking to her instead. As she spoke, I could see the sadness in her expression. Diana was in middle school, and it was clear she was becoming more aware of things like this. It hurt me to see how troubled she was. The idea that Albert, who I believed always put Diana first, might be involved with someone else was devastating. I knew I had to handle this delicately for the sake of our family. I'm so sorry, sweetie. I had no idea we were making you feel this way. I've been too focused on work, haven't I? I said, feeling a pang of guilt as I looked at her. Diana quickly reassured me, no, it's okay that you work hard, Mom. Don't feel bad about that. Her maturity in that moment was beyond her years, and I was deeply touched by her understanding. Thank you, Diana, I replied, my heart heavy. I'll talk to your dad about this. If it turns out he's having an affair, I might have to consider a divorce. Is that something you're okay with? She nodded solemnly. I don't like the idea of Dad having an affair. Knowing that and still being with him would just make me feel worse. Seeing Diana so distressed made me realize how much I had been overlooking our family's needs. Determined to confront this head-on, especially since Diana had been brave enough to bring it up, I decided to hire a private investigator to look into Albert's activities. The results were just as heartbreaking as I feared. The investigator found undeniable proof that Albert was having an affair. Diana had been right. There were even photographs to confirm it. But what shocked me the most was the identity of the other woman, Tiffany, one of my high school classmates and a fellow member of our mom's group. I was more hurt by the betrayal of a trusted friend than by Albert's infidelity. Tiffany, a stay-at-home mom and someone I thought was a loyal member of our group, had her own young child yet still chose to engage in an affair with Albert, neglecting her family responsibilities. When I saw the evidence, I felt overwhelmed with emotion. Alone in my room, I was grateful that Diana hadn't walked in on me during that moment. The photos would only add to her distress. I wasn't ready to confront Albert yet, nor could I let Diana see these disturbing images. I took a few deep breaths to steady myself. Shortly after, another friend from our mom's group mentioned she had switched jobs, which sparked an idea. I suggested a gathering, viewing it as a perfect opportunity to observe Tiffany without revealing that I knew about the affair. We scheduled the get-together for 2 weeks later. In the meantime, I quietly contacted a lawyer and began preparing for a potential divorce, fortifying myself for the challenges ahead. I took a moment to gently inform Diana about what I had uncovered and the difficult decision that her dad and I would be getting a divorce. Together, we spent our free time searching for a new apartment, hoping to find a space that would signify a fresh start for both of us. As the day of the planned gathering approached, I felt a mix of anticipation and dread. When the day finally arrived, I engaged in casual conversation with my friends, starting with questions about one friend's new job. We all shared updates on our lives, and Tiffany appeared oblivious to the fact that I knew her secret. During our conversation, she lamented her routine, saying, "I'm just a housewife stuck in the same routine, unlike all of you who have careers and don't have to work because your husbands support you." Another friend quickly pointed out, "I do appreciate my husband," to which Tiffany responded, "but sometimes," feeling a bit bored, I decided it was time to address the elephant in the room. "So, is that why you're having an affair with other people's husbands?" I asked, turning directly to Tiffany. The room fell silent, and the casual ambience quickly shifted to tension. "Ah, Judy, what do you mean by that?" Tiffany stammered, her face draining of color. "It seems that Tiffany is having an affair with my husband, Albert," I declared plainly. "What? No way, you must be joking," another friend interjected, attempting to defend Tiffany as disbelief spread through the group. Tiffany seized the opportunity to deflect. "That's right, Judy. What are you talking about? You must have confused me with someone else." "Oh, really?" I countered, my voice steady. "Then why don't you all take a look at this?" I reached into my bag, pulled out the photos, and spread them across the table for everyone to see. The room erupted in gasps of disbelief. "Oh my gosh," they exclaimed, turning to Tiffany for explanations. Clearly caught off guard and unable to deny the evidence, Tiffany covered her mouth with her hand. "I'm sorry," she began, her voice trembling. "I happened to walk into the cafe where your husband works. I didn't know you worked there initially, but then I started going there regularly. My husband provides for me, but he's been neglecting me since we got married. I was feeling lonely." Tears began to form in her eyes, but despite her emotional response and attempts to justify her actions, the betrayal cut deep. An affair, particularly with a friend's husband, was a breach of trust that was hard to overlook. While her reasons might explain her actions, they didn't excuse them. The revelation was painful but necessary, confirming the suspicions I had begun to harbor and reshaping the dynamics of our friendship and personal lives. Throughout the confrontation, I maintained my composure, unaffected by Tiffany's tears. "I'm sorry to everyone else here, but Tiffany, I need to let you know that I will be seeking alimony from you," I announced firmly. "Earlier that day, I had taken a formal step. I sent a certified letter to your mailbox." Tiffany's face fell as she absorbed the weight of the situation. "Oh no," she murmured, a mix of worry and disbelief lacing her voice. "How could he do something so terrible? It's far worse to have an affair with a friend's husband, especially when you're married and have a child," I replied, steady and resolute. "You need to face the consequences and make amends for your actions." Tiffany, visibly shaken, nodded in acknowledgement. One of my friends chimed in, "We really can't trust you anymore, Tiffany." With that, we left the restaurant, leaving Tiffany to grapple with the fallout. Once I dealt with Tiffany, it was time to confront Albert. I was fairly certain that Tiffany had already informed him about what had transpired. When I arrived home, Albert was waiting at the door, panic etched across his face. "What have you done?" "I just got a call from Tiffany." "Are you making our affair public?" "How could you be so terrible? You acted like a good husband while cheating on me." "And no, it's not just about exposing Tiffany. How could you do that to her family?" I retorted. My tone was firm as I continued, "It seems people who have affairs think alike. You believe that as long as the other person doesn't find out, it's not a big deal. But what you did was wrong, and it all needs to come to light as part of your punishment. That's why I'm going to divorce you and seek alimony and child support." Faced with clear evidence of the affair, Albert could not deny the truth. He agreed to the divorce, though he was initially hesitant about the financial implications. However, once I hired a strong lawyer and made it clear I was prepared to take the case to court if necessary, he finally consented to the financial arrangements. After the divorce, Albert sold the house we had lived in and moved to a new apartment. I pursued and received alimony from both Albert and Tiffany, totaling $50,000 from each, along with child support from Albert. Once everything was settled, Diana and I began our new life together. Though the ordeal had been deeply traumatic for me, it marked the painful yet necessary start of a new chapter. In the aftermath of my divorce, I found solace and a chance to rebuild my life with Diana. Over time, the emotional wounds began to heal, but about 8 months later, I faced an unexpected challenge. I was enjoying a peaceful day at home with Diana when an urgent call from my mother disrupted the calm. She informed me that my ex-husband Albert and his mother had shown up unannounced at my parents' house, forcing their way inside without permission. My father wasn't home, so my worried mother quickly reached out to me. I rushed over to my parents' house, and upon arriving, I found Albert and his mother lounging on the living room sofa as if they belonged there. Confused and alarmed, I asked, "What are you both doing here?" Albert's response shocked me. "I want you to give me back the money you owe me." "What?" I replied, bewildered. "I never borrowed any money from you." He retorted, "I paid $225,000 for our wedding. You were in charge of the arrangements, so that money was lent to you. Now that we're divorced, you're claiming it was all a fraud. Honestly, I could sue you for marriage fraud, but for now, all I want is $25,000 back as a settlement." His unreasonable demand left me speechless. His mother chimed in, insisting that I pay him as soon as possible. It was evident that Albert was struggling financially, which likely fueled his irrational demands. He had taken a full-time job at the cafe where he used to work part-time, but the pay was modest. "Albert, we were both equally involved in the wedding, and I covered more of our living expenses than you did," I reminded him, my voice firm. "The $25,000 is just a small fraction of what I contributed. Don't bother me with such unreasonable demands." As the tension escalated, they refused to leave. Just then, my father arrived, alerted by my mother. "What are you doing here?" he demanded sternly. Albert repeated his claims to my father, who, though usually calm, was visibly furious and shocked by Albert's audacity. It's your fault for having an affair in the first place. If you're going to make such outrageous demands, get out of here, my father asserted, trying to expel them from the house. In a desperate turn, Albert fell to his knees and begged, "Please, Judy, lend me money. Not only are you demanding alimony, but Tiffany's husband is also after me, and I can't afford it. Even $6,000 would help." It was disheartening to see him in such a state, but I responded firmly, "No, I can't do that. Go home." The situation highlighted Albert's deep desperation, but it reaffirmed my resolve to maintain boundaries and protect my family's peace. As the confrontation escalated, my father intervened, suggesting he'd handle it. "Fine, I'll get the money. Just wait here," he said calmly, walking me to another room. Curious, I followed him. With a mischievous grin, he said, "Well, I have plenty of money. Since we have it, why not give it to them?" He opened the closet and pulled out some cash, creating an air of suspense. I wondered how this would play out. My father put the bills into an envelope and handed it to Albert. With satisfied faces, my ex-husband and his mother left, thinking their scheme had worked. As soon as they stepped out, I locked the door behind them and quickly called the police. It didn't take long for Albert and his mother to realize the money was fake. They rushed back, pounding on our door in anger. "What's going on? This is Monopoly money. I don't want this fake cash," Albert shouted, his voice thick with fury. I couldn't help but laugh as I responded through the door. "Since we have so much of it, I thought I'd share it with you." Albert's frustration peaked, and he began kicking the door. Their actions only escalated the situation further. Fortunately, the police arrived just in time to catch them in the act, drawing the attention of the neighbors, many of whom witnessed their arrest. In the end, not only did Albert not get any money, but he was also fined for the disturbance and had to cover the damage to our front door. Ironically, one of the bystanders was a regular at the cafe where Albert worked, and word of his antics spread quickly. As a result, Albert lost his job and struggled to find new work, ultimately moving back in with his parents. His in-laws had to cover his alimony and child support payments. To safeguard my family further, I filed a restraining order against my former in-laws, ensuring that any future incidents would lead to an immediate police response. Now, life is more peaceful and fulfilling. I'm devoted to working hard and cherishing the time spent watching my daughter, Diana, grow up.